This book changed my life. Let me explain. About 6 months ago, I was studying to get into med school, studying for the MCAT, which is the entrance exams to get into medicine. I was about halfway through my studying when I came across this book, which really just shook everything up. The main ideas in this book really kind of questioned validly how I was framing work for my life and made me rethink the relationship that I want to have with work. And so if it was that impactful on me to make me completely change career choices, maybe it's worth recommending to a couple of people out there. Okay, so the first thing I have to do is a disclaimer to all the skeptics out there, because I was ridiculously skeptical before I started reading this book. I'll just read the title off for you. It's called The 4-Hour Work Week: Escape 9 to 5, Live Anywhere, and Join the New Rich. Which sounds 1000% like a scam. It sounds too good to be true. It sounds like you're gonna get something for nothing. To be fair, I'm still personally pretty skeptical of the 4-hour work week. Maybe if you'd called it the 8 or the 10-hour work week, I would kind of see how that makes sense, but I think 4 is still a little bit ambitious, maybe a little bit exaggerated, but overall, that's not really the point of the book. The point is the questioning that Tim Ferriss does of the traditional, or at least conventional, Western relationship that we have with work. And what I did gain from this book was the courage, or kind of the insight, to actually question that conventional relationship. So the way that most of us think about work is that working 40 hours a week is just unavoidable. You have to accept it. You go to school, you get out maybe 25-ish, and you work until you're 65. And then at that point, you're allowed to live your life. You get a little 2 weeks each year where you get to go and actually do whatever you want. But for the most part, the central part of your life during your prime years is just to do this work. You get to have a life once you get off the clock or on the weekends. Really, Tim and a ton of readers who have written in and tried the techniques from his book have shown that that doesn't have to be true for everybody. So the real value of the book is that he goes in and says that here are all the reasons that this doesn't necessarily have to be true. Your 40-hour work week doesn't have to be the complete center of your life. You can make your life the center and work as something just to fund the things that you actually want to do with your time. So here are some of the key ideas from the book that resonated with me. Obviously, it's not going to be the whole thing that resonated with me, and maybe some things in this book would be completely obvious to you, but I have different life experiences, and this is just what really hit home for me. So the first thing that really made me think was the way that he distinguishes the difference between absolute income and relative income. So money really, if you think about it, is just a placeholder for value. It's a key metric for how good your life can be in some ways. The more money you have in general, you can afford a better lifestyle. But the point of life is not to have more money. The point is the lifestyle that you want, to live how you want to live, to work in the way that you want to work, do things you care about, spend time with people that you care about, go to the places you want to go, just have control over your own life. And a lot of times we get so hung up on the money aspect of it that we forget what we're actually working for, which is trying to get the most out of the little time that we get here. And so absolute income is the straight up amount of money that you make, whereas relative income is the amount of money that you make relative to your lifestyle. So you might be making a lot less money working, let's say, 10 hours a week, but now you have all this time to enjoy, to take care of your hobbies, to spend time with your family and your kids, all these kinds of things, right? You might make a lot less than somebody who's making however many hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but has no time to actually enjoy their life. They might be working 100-hour weeks every week for years at a time. And so yes, they have tons of money, but what are they gonna do with it? So really what you wanna get is a high level of relative income to your time. Now, the second idea that really kind of shook things up for me was the idea of mini retirements. We've kind of, like I said, we kind of have it in our heads that you work for these 40 years and then at the end, then you get to do what you want. But the thing is, once you get to the end of this whole working journey and now it's finally time for you to do your thing, how do you even know what kind of lifestyle you want if you haven't even tried it? You've been just working a 9 to 5 for 40 years. So how do you know really how you want to live? Maybe you've been thinking that you want to go and live on the beach in Mexico for a while, and then you actually go there and do it. After a couple months, you get completely bored and it's hot. There aren't the amenities that you're used to, and you're just not enjoying it. What he proposes is the idea of this mini retirement. So you go and you think about what kind of life you might want to have, and you go and try it for a couple of weeks. If you're somehow between jobs at a time it so that you can take a couple of weeks and go try out that life in Mexico or try out wherever you might want to retire and see if this is actually a life that you would enjoy. And if it is, then great. Then maybe when you do actually retire, maybe that's what you want to do. Or maybe you can find a more creative way of getting there earlier. And the way he makes you think about it is, what would you do if there was no actual retirement? There's no gold at the end of this hypothetical rainbow. Would you still kind of sell your soul to the big companies, or would you try to integrate something that's more sustainable for you? The last idea that really stuck with me is that it seems like from the way that he structures this book, the idea is to just do nothing with most of your time and only work these 4 hours or 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever it is, just to fund all of your hanging out and lazing around and chilling on the beach, which isn't at all what he's trying to say. Of course, freeing up your time is absolutely the goal of the systems that he lays out in the book. But really, the end goal is to be able to choose now what to do with your time. And that's the ultimate freedom, really, is to have your time be your own, so that now if you want to work, if you can set up a business that will just pay your basic bills, take care of you, make sure you're at least fed and clothed, you don't have to worry about where your money is coming from for your next rent payment. Now, what do you want to do with your time? Because you still will want to do something. Lazing around on a beach is only fun for a week or a month at tops. After a certain point, you're gonna want to do something meaningful to yourself, meaningful with your life. And so that's really the point of this whole, what seems like a get-rich-quick scheme, is actually a way for you to free up more of your time in order to spend it on what actually matters to you. So those are kind of the things that really resonated with me from this book. If you haven't read it, I'd say give it a read. It's absolutely worth it. If you're skeptical like I was, I say absolutely go in with all the skepticism in the world. You should. It's your responsibility to actually be skeptical when somebody makes claims that are this radical. But yeah, if you have read it or you do decide to read it, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Yeah, I don't know how to end a YouTube video, but it's over. It's over now.